Говорим с журналиста от Гана Фарид Мохамед Ауал. Питаме, какви са проявленията на неоколониализма днес? Има ли подобни примери по отношение на Гана?
Let me try by elaborating on neocolonialism so that our viewers and listeners can understand it better. So when you talk about neocolonialism is the use of economic, political, and cultural pressures developed by the advanced countries or by the Western superpowers to exploit from the developing countries. And these Western superpowers, they use this strategy on several aspects. The first one is the economic, what we call the economic dependency. We have the financial control. We have the cultural, political, and psychological influence. We also have the debt trap. So let me take this one after the other. When you look at the economic dependency, almost all the multinational organizations are being controlled by the Western superpowers. Take the IMF, for instance, International Monetary Fund. Take the Bretton Woods Institution. Take the World Bank. Look at the World Trade Organizations. All these multi-million or multinational institutions are set up to export from the African countries, simply in the sense that whenever the African countries go to them for a loan, what they do is that in as much as they will grant the loan to the African continent, they will give the African continent conditions that will be difficult for the Africans to within their country, but for the American country can be able to pay back the loan. For instance, when you go to the IMF, it simply means that they have been shortchanged of what money or currency. So you want a bailout. When you go there, if you take $1 billion, they're going to give you the $1 billion with an interest rate and what have you. Then they are going to take your budget, scrutinize in the budget, add some conditions that will help you to be able to pay back the $1 billion plus interest, which in the end it may affect you negatively because you may not be able to also redeem your country. So internationally, you have been able to pay back to your external creditors, but domestically, you haven't been able to do anything. Then once again, you will go back to the IMF again because you don't have anything. So this is what they do at the economic dependency level.
Фарид Ауал коментира още, че Западът налага чужди ценности като ЛГБТ чрез икономически натиск върху държавния глава и парламента в Гана. Образователната система е наследство от колониализма и тя налага западните модели вместо местни традиции. Холивуд и западните медии заливат културното пространство, което води до имитация и загуба на национална идентичност. Въвеждат се спорни предмети като комплексно сексуално образование, които противоречат на местната култура. Неоколониализмът работи и на психологическо ниво, ерозирайки самосъзнанието и идентичността на местното население. Попитахме Фарид как изглежда борбата срещу неоколониализма днес, как Гана защитава интересите си в момента и кои са основните пречки.
You see, the fight against neocolonialism hasn't started today. In fact, the first president of Ghana, who was even as the best president of the African millennium, he is called Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is being studied everywhere, including even in Russia here, in Romania. In fact, when he was even overthrown and he went to, I think, is it Gambia? Yeah, when he went to Gambia, he was even elevated as a co-president in that country. So this tells you how Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, I don't know, the caliber of person Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is. Now, the struggle for our country to maintain our interests didn't start today. It started all the way before even Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, till Dr. Kwame Nkrumah even came. But the issue is that whenever the Western superpowers, whenever they see that you are doing the right thing, then they will engineer themselves, they will mastermind, then they will come and remove it from office. A clear example is what happened to our country. When they realized that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was on the right track, he was championing for the cause of African freedom. He was making sure that Ghana would become a better country. He was doing everything right. They instigated, they sponsored, and then organized a coup against him. And that led to the coup against Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Do you get it? And in fact, there are evidence that even support that it is the criminal intelligence agency in the United States, the CIA, they engineered and masterminded the coup against Dr. Kwame Nkrumah because they saw that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was doing but the right thing. In fact, there are some books that even shows clearly that there was a cable that was sent back to the USA during that time which was saying that, please, when are you coming to overthrow Dr. Kwame Nkrumah? Remember, if Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is still at post as a president, the British interest in Africa will not do. The British interest in Africa cannot be achieved. In fact, one of the former ambassadors from the USA to Ghana, his son Mahon, has also written a book, and the book I think the name is The Ordeals in Africa. And in the book, he also explains how the CIA, in collaboration with some Ghanaians, masterminded to remove Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana.
Фарид допълни още. Гана притежава огромни природни богатства – злато, боксит, какао, но липсата на технологии за преработка води до ниски приходи. Държавата внася над 50% от хранителните продукти, което обезценява местната валута. В същото време въвеждането на златен борд удвои приходите от злато – 20 милиарда долара за година, чрез строг контрол и проследяване. А председателят на парламента замени западното с традиционни африкански облекла за утвърждаване на идентичността. Попитахме Фарид, успя ли Гана да си върне контрола върху своите природни ресурси.
Well, for my country, our natural resources are with us. We have our natural resources. But the biggest quagmire, yes, the biggest problem is that, I repeated in my second submission, because we don't have the instrument or the machines to convert primary product or primary goods or primary resources into finished goods, we tend to lose many of them. Do you get it? So all the gold, for instance, the cocoa that I told you, we need to ship the cocoa beans to the Western companies. They have to process it. And then in the end, we get a small amount of money from it. We get it. But of course, many of the goods, we send them outside for processing. And let me also add that we also import many of our food. And that one too is a challenge. For instance, as at 2024, the Ghana Statistical Service says that we imported around 38.95 billion Ghana cedis worth of food products, which includes fish, poultry, soya beans, wheat, sugar, and other edible oil. And according to the statistics, these were over 53% worth of food products related. So, in as much as we have control of our natural resources, our large importation on goods and services is what is killing us as a country. And I hope that in future we should try and do better.
Журналистът от Гана коментира още. Гана притежава ресурсите си, но липсата на машини за превръщането им в готови стоки води до огромни загуби на стойност. Гана е богата на суровини, но е принудена да внася преработени стоки и над 53% от храната си, което убива икономиката. За разлика от други страни, Гана твърди, че ресурсите принадлежат изцяло на нея, а не на западните компании. Все пак има положителни примери, като термичната петролна рафинерия и инвестицията в производството на газ, които генерират приходи. Има надежда за по-добро управление на ресурсите в бъдеще чрез изграждане на собствена преработвателна инфраструктура. С журналистът от Гана коментирахме още, че България никога не е била колония и е член на Европейския съюз, но въпреки това чужди компании извличат природните ни богатства срещу унизителни концесионни такси от порядъка на 2-3%. Той сподели неговата гледна точка по този въпрос и направи сравнение с Гана.
I see. Well, that's okay. But I think that my country we get a better deals than Bulgaria. Sorry, because we don't take 2-3%. At least we take more than 2-3%, but still I see that we still want more because it doesn't make sense that a country that has the natural resources, that mine the natural resources, all what you have to do is that you only have to process them into finished goods, then you come and take all the rest. I think that is actually not good for us, and I believe that we should try and do better. I was speaking about cocoa. Let me re-emphasize it again. For instance, Ghana, we are the second largest producers of cocoa in Africa, and globally, we produce about 20% of cocoa, like of the cocoa beans. Meanwhile, in the end, we take about 6% of the final chocolate product, which is very, very bad. And I think that we should try and do better. At least if there is something that we should do now, we should learn from Burkina Faso under the auspices of Captain Ibrahima Traore. And what I'm saying, this has nothing to do with the military junta. I'm talking about his policies and protection that he is implementing, and that is what helping the economy of the Burkina Faso. For instance, he realized that the Western companies in Burkina Faso are paying them, are giving them peanuts, although they mine the natural resources, they get the gold and other minerals. So why should we come and build on my country?
Фарид подчерта, че Гана получава по-високи концесионни такси от България, където те са 2-3%, но страната се стреми към по-справедливи условия. Целта е ресурсите да се преработват в готови стоки в страната, а не само да се добиват и изнасят. Той посочи още, че трябва да се получим от политиката на капитан Троаре от Буркина Фасо за предоговаряне на концесиите и изгонване на несъгласните компании. Той отбеляза и позитивните промени, като успешните стъпки за увеличаването на държавния дял в минното производство и прекратяването на системата на франка. И посочи, че са необходими нови преговори за по-добри концесионни сделки до момента, в който Гана може сама да преработва ресурсите си. Попитахме Фарид, има ли днес дискриминация от страна на Запада към африканските държави? Несправедлив ли е подходът към развиващите се нации, като например съществува ли отказ от предоставяне на достъп до модерни технологии?
Yes, of course. It's not about what I think. It is true. The West are still treating us unfairly. They are still discriminating on us. In fact, today, when you go to France and you take an electric bulb from France, over 40% of electric bulbs in France are being powered by uranium from Niger. Meanwhile, today, Niger is ranked among the top 10 poorest countries in the world. Look at the economy of South Africa. Look at what South Africa, and look at the contribution of South Africa to BRICS and what have you. But despite all these things, Africa, the entire continent of Africa, only 3% of what the international market say. And why is it so? It is so because of what? Indices, logarithms, and mathematics. They need to put Africa into the equation. Make sure that they will not allow Africa to see the light of the day. Because today, when Africa sees the light of the day, that will be the downfall of what? Europe and North America. And let me give you another clue here. Are you aware that the global chocolate industry is worth over $150 billion? Yes! And in fact, West African countries, we produce 70% of the cocoa beans. But ask yourself, how much does this West African country, how much do they take home? How much does the West African country take home? They produce over 70% of the cocoa beans of something which is worth around $150 billion. All other things being equal, the West African countries doesn't take, in fact, they will take less than $6 billion.
Фарид допълни още, въпреки че Африка има 1,5 милиарда души, най-бързото растящо население и 80% от световните минерални ресурси, тя няма постоянно място в Съвета за сигурност на ООН. Западът в лицето на САЩ, Великобритания и Франция използва икономически инструменти, за да контролира Африка и да я държи в икономическа зависимост. Западноафриканските страни произвеждат 70% от какаовите зърна в световен мащаб, но получават по-малко от 6 милиарда долара от глобалната шоколадова индустрия, чиято стойност е над 150 милиарда долара. Всички тези данни за ресурси, население и икономически потенциал показват, че Африка е богата на хора и ресурси, но Западът умишлено я спира от развитие, за да запази своята доминация. Попитахме Фарид, каква е вашата позиция относно съвместните инициативи на бивши колонии, които се обръщат към международни институции с искане за компенсации за щетите, причинени от колонизаторите в миналото. Бихте ли могли да ни разкажете повече за това? Подкрепяте ли подобни инициативи и защо?
Yes. Thank you very much, Theodore, for this question. In fact, I support this. I support this question. I support this initiative 5,000%. In fact, I support it with 1,000 bags of cement. I support it very well. Because Theodora, what happens to the African continent was nothing other than, it was criminal to subject your fellow human beings into such atrocities, into such cruelty, into such barbaric attitude, into such horrible attitude, into such dirty attitude. It's very, very bad, and I support it 100%. But let me make a clarification here. More often than not, when we talk about reparation, people only talk about what? The compensation aspect. No, it is not only compensation. It is not only compensation. That has to do with what? With reparation. Because Theodora, what Africa lost in the course of what? Colonization and slavery, there is no money can replenish it. We need that reparation. Now let me move on. Let me describe what actually happened during the colonization and the slavery. You see, Theodora and my country, Ghana, play an important role in it. And I will also explain to you. Do you know that, in fact, between 25 to 30 million of Africans were uprooted from their place of abode? In fact, they were violently uprooted. They were harassed. They were taken by force from the beginning of what? To the 16th century, to the mid-19th century, all in the name of what? Slavery. And in fact, around 12.5 million of these Africans were taken into slavery. Were taken through slavery across what? Were taken through slavery to North America and Europe, and this is what today has come to be known as what? The transatlantic slave trade. And in the course of what? The passage across what? The Atlantic Ocean, about 2.5 million of Africans, they died. And some were even thrown into the Atlantic Ocean. So ask yourself, these over 2.5 million people who died, how are we going to bring them back? What amount of money are we going to what amount of money are we going to pay to bring them back?
Журналистът от Гана коментира още, че наследството от колониализма и търговията с роби днес се прелива в расова дискриминация, подчинение и неравенство. Границите на африканските държави бяха умишлено демаркирани от западните суперсили, например на Берлинската конференция, за да разделят континента и да спрат развитието му, посочи още той. Налагането на европейски езици като английския е довело до срам от родните езици и фалшиво чувство за интелигентност, свързано с доброто владеене на чуждия език. Западната образователна система в Африка е фокусирана върху спомняне на факти, а не върху мислене и иновации, което пречи на технологичния прогрес на континента.